Hey, Tony Gassi here. Now, this right here for the parents, and this is something that I'm going to live by, die by. Just one thing I realized, one thing I've seen is we in a world that is very, very demonic. We in a world that's very evil, a world that's very seductive. We got a lot of spiritual warfare going on, and it's a shift happening. And I'm noticing a Jezebel spirit that's overtaking the world, mixed with a Sodom and Gomorrah spirit. And these spirits are perverse spirits, and they will come into every household to try to pervert the spirits within the household. And what these spirits lead to is promiscuity, illegitimate kids, broken homes, unhealthy self-love in the sense of arrogance, conceit. And it will slowly just rip the fabric of society apart. And so as a parent raising children, you got to be mindful of spiritual warfare. And you have to remember that the Bible tells you to train your child up in the way that he should go, so that when he is old, he won't depart from it. See, as parents, we get so caught up saying, oh, I'm going to make my child hate me. Oh, I'm going to destroy my child. Oh, I'm going to do this, do that to my child. And a lot of times we see how we turn out and we say, oh, I'm never going to do that to my child, but not realizing that it didn't actually break us. It actually made us. Now, when you know it was toxic and abusive, I'm not speaking on that, but what I mean is structure and consistency, doing what you know is right, and not about perfection, but just checking your child every step of the way, especially for young parents like ourselves, like myself, my wife. We so young compared to our sons' parents. A lot of their parents are in their 40s, in their late 40s, some in their 50s, some even in their 60s. That's my oldest son's age. And so for us, our sons could talk to us sometimes just like homies. And we have to remind them, and we got to check them about disrespect, and we got to put them in a child's place. It was a thing when I was growing up. It was a big thing about stay in a child's place. I could never joke with my dad, and still to this day, it's very formal. I don't curse in general, but I don't do anything out the way. I see a lot of guys, they curse around their dad, they get drunk around their dad. Me and my dad's not like that. It's father and son. It's a lot of respect. It's still yes, sir, no, sir, even though I'm 38 years old. But that has helped me become the man that I am today, to be a man that's in the home, that's active, that's present, that's providing, that's still trying to learn and grow and sow, not in the strip club, not watching pornography, not giving into youthful lust and doing all of these crazy things. The respect that my father raised me with, the lessons that he raised me with, it helped me come back, train him up in the way that he should go, so that when he is old, he will not depart from it. Yes, I was a thief. Yes, I went to jail in 9th grade for stealing. Yes, I was a drug dealer. Yes, I was a toxic, controlling, abusive lover. Yes, I was all of those things, but look at me today. Still striving, still growing, still learning, still producing, and helping other people. And it's because of the foundation that I was raised with. And I think a lot of parents are allowing their child to just grow up, meaning to just grow, get older, but not be raised. Not teaching a child about his or her role in the kingdom and in the world, and letting a child be fluid and just do whatever he or she wants to do, and forgetting that there will be spiritual influences if you are not the influence. And even if you are the influence, your child still will be influenced, and that your child, left to him or herself, will be devoured by this world. And I think we got to remember that. And I'm sharing that because I just had to, check my son and talk to him, and I got to stay on him and be on him every day. And I tell my wife all the time, I say, one thing I've noticed about the men who their dad was very hard on them, very strict on them, they did things the right way and they achieved success. The black men especially, black and minority men, because it's different when you're a minority in America or wherever you're a minority at. It's different because the place you are does not belong to you. So it's very important that a minority is raised with a different set of standards and structure, because the world is not his or her oyster, although we want to believe that and we want to promote that. It's just not the truth. And until it becomes the truth, we have to be prepared for what can truly happen. So, for example, you've seen the countless videos of black young men be killed by police and white young men be spared by police. You've seen young white men murder countless people and be taken into custody unscathed, given soda, given cupcakes, and a black young man flinches and he's shot to death. So that proves that for minorities, the world is not your oyster. So you have to be raised with structure and a different type of respect, because whereas little Billy can tell the police F you, if a young black boy tells the police to F him, the police may shoot him, or he will, or beat him, or definitely arrest him, throw him under the jail if he can. And so, unfortunately, that's the way things have to be. And we are forgetting that we are to train our child up, and we letting our child just grow older without teaching them the steps every step of the way. And we're not being consistent because we're afraid to be hated. We're afraid not to be liked, and we're afraid to offend our child, or we're afraid for our child to want to go stay with mama or go stay with daddy or be best friends with the other parent, and not realizing that our job is not for instant gratification or even gratification from our child, or gratitude from our child. Our job is to prepare our child for a world that does not care for him or her. And it is better to be overly cautious than to be undercautious and nonchalant. It's better to be too strict than to not be strict. And it would be better as long as it's done in love and not abuse. And that's the key. And I think that's what rubs a lot of parents the wrong way, is because your parents maybe did it in an abusive way. So it makes you not want to have any type of structure or rules and regulations or consistency with your children, because you are trying so hard not to be like your mother or your father was, and not understanding that there is a way to have structure and to have rules and regulations in love. There's a way to express yourself and to talk about things in love. And so one thing I was just talking to my son about, which I'm sharing with y'all, because some single moms on here, is this seductive spirit with these young men have in these hoochie daddy shorts, and they walking around with all their penis sitting up, bulging out of the shorts, and they rolling their shorts up to where the shorts come up and it cuff their scrotum and it cuff their penis and it hold it up and it got it sitting there and laying cross there, and it's showing their private parts, the print of it, and the shorts rolled up and the shorts high, so you see all their thigh. And so they trying to show their thigh muscles, they trying to show their penis print, and they trying to show their calf muscles. And all of that is a seductive spirit, because what is the goal of that? The goal of that is for people to look and say, wow, your legs are nice, or wow, you're packing. And what that is to turn, what that does is that entices a Jezebel spirit in a young woman or in another young man, and that spirit attracts the spirit. So a like spirit attracts a like spirit. And I literally told my son the other day, because he had his pants rolled up, had all the penis print out, and we were sitting in a ice cream shop, and he's standing up, and the pants, the shorts so tight, they're so short, and it was a man sitting in there, and the man looked like he had a spirit on him. And yes, as a father, I'm looking at the man, I'm judging him, which I'm wrong for that, that's a sin, but I'm being aware of what's in the world. Do you know that when you go on Hulu or Netflix, you can watch these shows about these men and women picking up young men and women on the side of like kidnapping them, taking them, raping them, killing them. And this is real, this happening. So while you letting your son or daughter walk around dressed like a Jezebel and with their booty hanging out, their private parts hanging out, I'm seeing a lot of young ladies dressing inappropriate. While we are allowing this as parents, there's going to be somebody when you're not around preying on your child. It's going to be somebody looking at your child inappropriately, male and female. And somebody eventually going to make a pass on your child, and your child not going to be prepared for that pass, for that approach, because it's going to catch them off guard. It's going to be men will do it to your son. Older men will make a pass on your teenage son or your young son, because your son have not been prepared and talked to about these spirits, and the same with your daughter. And if you living, if it ain't happened to you, you know somebody that it happened to. You know somebody that when they was underage, when they was under 10 or under 18, that an older person made a sexual advance on them. If it didn't happen to you, you know somebody it happened to. So why are we not talking to our children and preparing them about the spirits they may encounter? And, you know, as I was talking to my son, I'm like, nobody mind, you know, think like that. But I'm telling him, even as a young man, out of respect for your mom, don't be walking around with your dang-a-lang sitting up. Now, she not thinking like that, because that's her son. She ain't, you know, looking at it like that, but he's 15. Soon you're going to be 16. Soon you're going to be 17. Sometimes you just look at a person and you scan them head to toe. You looking at their shorts. And it's the same thing with a daughter walking around. And I asked my son, I say, you know, if it was a young lady, if I had a daughter, if you had a sister, do you think it'd be appropriate her walking around the house with a camel toe? I'm like, what is your shorts rolled up in the house for? We're not your colleagues. If that's how y'all dress out there, okay. But why your shorts rolled up in the house? Who you trying to look sexy for in the house? And this is stuff that our kids are getting into because of TikTok, because of Instagram, because of all this stuff. And they think we old farts. They think we don't know no better. But we know, like the Bible say, there's nothing new under the sun. And we'll end up in a black suit or a black dress, or in a courtroom with our child because we was afraid to offend our child when that's a child. We pay their bills. We raising them. We taking care of them. And we so worried about being friends that we no longer being parents, because we trying to be a best friend because we want our child to tell us everything. But what you find and realize that your child respects you more the stricter you are. And yeah, if you ain't being consistent, you'll make your child hate you. If you're not being fair, you'll make your child hate you. So my son going to a birthday party tomorrow, but right now he doing his summer work, which is school summer homework. So it's a balance. If he being disrespectful, do you want me to knock your teeth out your mouth? Now, DCF don't like that, but they don't have to bury my son when he gets slick out the mouth with a police who gonna beat him with that baton or tase him or take his life. So I got to be strict with my son, and I got to teach him to watch his mouth and watch how he talk to people, because that could cost him one day. It might not even be a police. It could be a teammate. It could be a classmate that'll take your life. The college basketball team I worked for, when the coach took over, one player had murdered another player. That's happening. I know guys who murdered people in college. In college, in a higher institution of learning on full scholarships, were murderers. We was carrying guns. We was doing drive-bys. We was shooting up. Yes, you have to raise your child to pay attention to their surroundings, to watch their mouth, to watch how they dress, to watch how they carry themselves, to watch who they hanging around, to watch who they befriending. We have to do a better and more consistent job as parents, and we have to be an example. Because, see, a lot of parents want to say, do this and do that, but then you sitting there vaping, but don't want your child to vape. You smoking weed, but don't want your child to smoke weed. You listening to all this junk music and not realizing you're an adult, so it might have you in adultery or fornication, and don't even realize it's your music that's saying to you, you're my little secret. That's how we gonna keep it. Never let it go. Never. So now you got a little secret. So now here you is married, and you texting and carrying on and not realizing that it's the music you listening to that's fueling your fornication or your adultery or your emotional cheating, and not realizing that the music is affecting you as an adult, as a parent, but got your children listening to it and thinking that it's not going to affect them. See, we got to stop being dumb, stupid, ignorant, or whatever we want to call it, and we got to be better. We got to be better as parents, so then our children can be better. And when we set the example, it's just like I want to teach my son about discipline and about work ethic. So guess what I got to do? I got to have work ethic. So now I got to get up every day and go in my home gym. Yeah, I got a home gym and ain't used it in 6 years consistently, 9 times. So just this year, I'm going in there consistent, and he's seeing me push away plates. He's seeing me make better food choices, better drinking choices, better workout choices, and work ethic. On a Friday night, 9:20 at night, while his mama cleaning up and doing stuff around the house, I'm in here working and operating in my purpose. So what does that show? Work ethic and consistency. So as parents, we want to teach one thing and we want to do something else, and that's why our children being lost. That's why they by the wayside. And there's so many parents, they always come and they tell me and my wife all the time, your son's so respectful, your son's so well behaved, you know, your son's this and that. When we were just at MIT, multiple parents came up to me and told me how great my son's personality is, and how smart he is, how advanced he is. Listen, he ain't wake up like that. He just like any other child. It's discipline, it's consistency, it's rules and regulations. He can't be disrespectful because he gonna have a price to pay. He can't be ignorant and immature because it's a price to pay. So we own him. So when the other kids, you know, cursing and getting in trouble and doing all this and that, it's because they parents, for one, they Caucasian. So when the world is your oyster When you in your house, you ain't got to wear shoes in your house because it's your house. When you in your house, you ain't got to wear clothes because it's your house. So if you a minority, America not your house. So you can't be willy-nilly. It's not your house. So you treat it like a stranger. So you got to be clothed. You got to be respectful. And you got to carry yourself in a way that's going to get you to where you got to go, to where you can assert some power and some influence. But you got to get there first. And see, a lot of people don't understand and let arrogance get in the way. Oh, I ain't going to do nothing. I ain't doing this. I ain't doing that. And they stay broke, busted, and disgusted. You got to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. And then when you get to a place to where you can give somebody your behind to kiss, then that's when you in that place. But until you get to that place, you got to understand that you will never get there if you don't learn how to maneuver in these here streets. And that's what we got to be teaching our children, especially if you're a minority. And if you're not no minority, you still need to be raising your kids with respect, because I saw Caucasian kids who was raised with everything grow up and lose their life because they did not have discipline. They did not have structure. They did not have consistency. There were no consequences in the home for their actions. And guess what? There are consequences in the world for your actions. They were trying to be cool. They was trying to fit in. I got a guy doing life sentences for taking the life of a young white boy who was raised in wealth, but his parents were not being active and consistent and laying down the law. So the boy took his wealth, used it to buy drugs, became a drug dealer when he did not need to be, got in the waters with sharks, and they turned them into bait. They took the boy life. And the boys who is said to have taken his life, those was my homeboys. We played on the same basketball and football teams. We grew up together, and one of them doing 3 life sentences. A couple others got 20 years, and a couple others got 10 years. It was 4 or 5 of them that went in there and robbed the boys and took their life. And these was young Caucasian boys who had no business in the dope game. Had mom and daddy had everything. But because we afraid to tell our kids and to teach our kids and to be hard on our kids, they go out into the world and they do what they want to do, and the world don't care about you. The world got consequences. You'll lose your life, or you'll lose, meaning figuratively or literally, meaning you'll be behind bars and lose your freedom, or the breath in your body will be taken and you will be 6 feet under, because the world got consequences for every bad choice. And we got to help our children understand that. So let your child hate you in the moment if that's what they want to do. And they won't if you are consistent and you doing it in love. Now, if you cursing your child out, if you physically beating your child, if you not being fair with your child, then you operating from the wrong place. You hating your child, not loving your child, and that's going to make them hate you and resent you, and they're never going to understand what you was trying to teach them. But when you consistent and you show them love, they can tell that you love them because of what you do for them and how you treat them and how you take care of them, how you sacrifice for them. Then when you share your truth and you being real and raw and honest with them, then they can eventually one day respect that. And they might not get it. They might not get it when they in middle school or high school. They might not get it in college. It might not hit them until they at your funeral. But nonetheless, better late than never. They'll get the message one day and understand what you was trying to do. And that's what you got to do. Stop trying to be liked. Stop trying to be your child's best friend and be your child's parent. Because I'm getting to see the difference of when you a parent and when you a best friend. Because I get to see the way these kids act, who they parent is their best friend, and the parent have no clue that their child is a hot mess. Or got a clue, but still afraid to offend their child. When my son, I let him know, because that's how I was raised. Listen, I put you in the grave before I let police put you in one, because you're going to do right by me first. You're going to respect me first, and I'm going to teach you how to move in this here world. And if you can't get past me, then you ain't got to worry about the world. You first got to do right by me. You first got to be right in my sight, in my eyes. And if you pass the level of the bar, you operate on that level that I'm asking of you, you're going to do okay in the world. You're going to be just fine. And if you go into the world and you make a choice to rebel, then I'm going to let you suffer the consequences. I can't save you. I'm going to let you suffer the consequences, and I'm going to pray that God spares you. And I'm going to let you know about God's grace, but also about natural consequences that we will suffer even under the sight of God, because it's universal law, and what we sow, we will reap. That's biblical. So even under the sight of God, people have suffered because of their choices and their actions. Now, God will come when you call him. He can redeem you. He can give you a fresh and new start, but you got to be willing to change and to do the work. And if you're not willing to change and do the work, then you're going to continue to suffer. So until you change your mindset and then change your actions, you're going to suffer. So, hey, we got to do better as parents. It's Tony Gaston. God bless you. We'll talk soon.